At the risk of sounding like everybody else out there, 1,000 subscribers is something that I didn't expect and not prepared for, even as I watched all the numbers go up. Something I don't think many other people have a chance to have, though, is knowing exactly who their 1,000 subscriber was. So, thank you, Vernathan, for the comment you left. And I'll make sure it has a special place. That said, you might be wondering where I've been these past lot of months. If you've been seeing the few community posts I've been making, I kept talking about lack of sleep and anxiety. That's not the reason, those are the symptoms. I guess in the end there's a few things were a few things going on. And I'm sure that if I tried spelling them out, everybody else has had some experience with, fearing for your own quality, so to speak. You keep looking at what you're making, and you keep saying to yourself, this isn't good enough so many times. You start saying to yourself, I'm not good enough. Now, whether this was writer's block, something else, it's, to me, it's immaterial. It's probably more important to other people who are suffering through these kinds of moments. And yes, there is a kind of fear and anxiety that comes from seeing, wow, 1,000 subscribers is coming up. I can actually do this. And then you start self-doubting and everything starts dragging you down like chains and anchors. However, the main problem I was having is that since April, well, probably more like mid-March, I kept saying to myself, I like doing this, I want to make more videos, I want to get more stuff out there, right? The problem was that I became too active, I guess you would say. I don't know any proper words to give it. I'm doing this off the cuff right now. But the point is, I was working on videos. I recorded I wrote down, scripted, recorded mostly about 5 different ideas and videos since the end of March. And like I said, there was the moment I kept looking at them and saying, it's not good, it's not good, it's not good, it's not good. And quite frankly, the spiral of feeling like a failure got so strong that I was even scared to respond to comments. As stupid as that sounds. I more or less felt like if I couldn't figure out how to do the videos right, how was I going to even get the comments right? I know that sounds stupid and silly, but I think it's obvious to say that if there's anything that's making your brain work against you, that's the hardest thing. No matter how many times you think through and give yourself logic and reason to move past it, when your brain turns against you, that's the hardest enemy you can ever have in your life. It's why there's that saying of, for a creator or a writer, what have you, they themselves are their own worst critic. So for anybody else out there having problems like that, take solace, as I did, that you aren't the only one that's struggling with anything you're going through. I've already done a video about my knee injury a while back. And that's not saying that you should beat your chest and say, well, I feel better now. I'm better than that guy over there. It feels like it certainly helps to know the fact that you're not being conspired against by the fates or whatever. There's no 11th commandment chiseled in stone that says, and God shall make such and such's life miserable. And I want to be clear, getting 1,000 subscribers didn't get me out of this, and getting 1,000 subscribers didn't cause this. This was something that was building up and going to happen regardless. And I'm going to explain why, because the more I tried figuring out why I felt the videos I was making weren't any good that led to this spiral of feeling like a failure, so to speak. The more I realized what was wrong, and going forward, what the channel's going to be like. So, I want to offer 3 or 4 of the video ideas I was working on, and see if you can find a pattern in them, especially compared to videos on the channel already. Switch to Borderlands 4 if you're not a fan statement. Well, if you're a fan statement. Power World and the lawsuit going on. And can't remember the 4th one. I thought I could, but not important because we're not going to be talking about it. Well, not talking about it, but not making the video and publishing it. So a lot of you that heard those probably thought to yourselves, okay, the problem is you're chasing current trends, and that's not what you usually do on the channel. Yes, that's the surface, visible problem. They were things that I thought that because they were current, there was a lot of information I could pick up, grabbing all this stuff, talking about it, articles, quotes, blah, blah, blah. Easy enough to find them. I did that in a week for my essays in college all the damn time. So why not do them? Because there were 2 videos I made in the past that I'm going to compare to those ideas. One was my video on Sonic Origins, which was actually about the landscape of digital games and digital ownership. The second is my video on how video games would be more profitable if they priced them at $15 instead of, the math back then was 60, but we've seen what they're going up to now. And the Switch 2 video was effectively going to be a follow-up sequel to that video in particular. However, as on the surface it looks like I'm chasing trends, I can talk about new games, no problem. New games, new movies, whatever. The issue is how I was approaching them. The video on video game prices was a thought experiment that popped in my head one day when I'm thinking to myself, hey, I remember that time that I heard Epic saying they sold like thousands of percent more copies of, what was it, Quake 3? No, not Quake 3. Unreal Tournament 3. In one weekend when they had it on sale versus the however many years it had been out by that point. It was a fun little thought experiment, and I figured, you know, it's interesting. There's some stuff to look at there. That was taken from the starting point of me saying to myself, well, not saying to myself, the mentality with that was, this might be legitimately interesting. And there was a point in time in that video that I checked my math like 5 times at one point, because one of the answers came out showing that I was actually wrong with that theory. And I do use the term theory because as I was approaching it, it was something that I wanted to see whether or not it was true, false, somewhere in between, where the data would lead me. And I was fully prepared to, you know, had the video go, I fess up, I was wrong about this, but it was fun while it lasted. However, as I said, the entire point of that video was it was something interesting that I thought of. When I did my video on Sonic, and this is why it was called Sonic Origins, and this is why I'm not changing the title of it or anything. And I have played Sonic Origins, the newer version of it. I like it. You've seen the footage of it used in some of my more recent videos. But as I said in a comment about it, I felt very cynical about the topic when I was approaching it. I had it in my mind that I was going to go, I'm going to really get these guys when I make this video. Then I'm going to really stick it to them. That's not the video that came out. It was presentable, there was information shared, and on the surface you probably didn't notice that I approached it in a cynical fashion. But that's the problem. I was cynical about it. I was treating it as a cynical project. And that's where the other ones I was making comes in. I have, in the past, pointed out my business college textbooks up here. And while I've made the realistic point that they're cheap enough to get your hands on, I wonder what society would be like if everybody knew that information. Well, not so much society as what the business environment out there would be like if companies knew that the customers knew what they know, kind of thing. But that's where all of the spiraling downward came from. I like making videos where I'm pointing out to people, this is interesting, this should be known more, this is something that people don't give enough credit for, this is something that I want people to give a fair shake to, a fair chance. Somebody suggested this to me, this looks interesting, I'll bring it up so more people know about it. I want to present things so that people can see not even good stuff, there's going to be some bad stuff I talk about eventually, but like I said, the channel's playlist used to be called Why You Should Care About. And that's because when I first started making these videos, I was effectively only making them to have my parents be the audience. A kind of, text them up and go, Mom, Dad, here's this thing I keep talking about. I know you don't have time to play the game or watch the movie or whatever, but, here's a summary so you can see why I like it so much. That was the purpose of my videos starting and continuing. Not talking to my parents directly anymore, but in general, just talking to everybody. Here's why I like something, or here's why somebody else suggested something to me. Here's what I appreciate out of it. And that evolved into realizing that I'm not looking to make videos about what's good or bad. I'm trying to foster, well, not me specifically, but I want my videos to be a focus on projects that show people that any ideas they have can still be good to make. If they do them the right way, if they're inspired enough for them, even if they screw up with them, there's still ways they can fix mistakes going forward and try again with something new. That's not what these videos were. These videos that I was making about the Switch 2, about business talk and all that stuff, this was me pointing, just finding and pointing to articles online, videos and everything else, and just going, let me just be frank, the videos were me acting like I had my head up my ass. Okay? That's the problem that was with them. I wasn't doing them because there was because there was anything that was inspirational about them that I wanted to talk about. It was me just wanting to go, not even wanting, just unconsciously, wanting to make a video, put it out there so people could see it, and in the end my rush to make these videos ended up with me spending 4 or 5 videos going, I got a 4.0 in college and here's my books and I'm so smart. I don't want to be somebody who says I'm right. And this is going to be something that comes up in a future video, because I will be talking about a video in the future about... Well, hold on, I'm going to keep this one a secret still. I'll only say that the topic I was about to discuss is something that did help me realize the faults I was finding in the videos I was making, and what made me reach the conclusions I did. And while I have your attention, I'll bring up the fact that I forgot to mention in this video even though I wanted to. The fact that as time went on, I felt that the title Why You Should Care was effectively confrontational, and that's why I changed the playlist to Art Inspires. So generally speaking, that's the analysis I'm giving myself, and the corrections I'm trying to keep in my mind as I go forward. So, thanks for 1,000 subscriptions, everybody. I'm glad to have each and every one of you, plus the others I don't know about. And whether it be 1 subscription, no subscription, 1,000,000 subscriptions, God help me. This is how I want to do things going forward. I don't want to go into this me so smart, me do this kind of stuff. I always want to be approaching this as, this is what's interesting, this is what I find interesting, this is what I find inspiring, here's my presentation to you about it. And I always want to hear back from what you have to say about it, even if you think I'm wrong about something. And that comes to the next 2 videos that are coming up. In about a week, there's going to be a commenter appreciation video for the #1 video on my channel, the ICP video. About a week after that, I will be doing a commenter appreciation video on the Sonic Execution Book 1 video, because I've left all of those people hanging in the dark for much too long, and they deserve pretty much what I see as a special spotlight for, quite frankly, disrespecting them the way I did. And there's a couple other comments I've seen out there for other videos that I find interesting, and I'm not sure if I'll roll them into any other videos, or I don't know, if I feel videos are taking too long, then why not just make a video dedicated to just the one comment. I'm sure I could talk for a long time about the ideas they bring up. Now, after those 2 videos, I will be doing a video that I've been trying to do for about a year now, because it's a very personal and special one to me. But after that one, we'll be bringing back voting from the hat. Well, actually, we'll have the voting topics from the hat thing at the end of the Sonic Execution commenter appreciation video, but the voting will go through until sometime after the upload of the 3rd video that I'm talking about. And if you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening to me. I know this is a sort of strange thing to talk about for some people, but I feel like if I don't talk about it and admit to it, then I'm never going to actually fix it and move on. But also, I do know that there are some requests out there that I may not have followed up on yet. Feel free to repost those if I haven't made a video on them yet. I've lost some of my notes around here, so the only one that I can remember off the top of my head right now, and I have written down to do in the future, is Madness Combat series. And if you're wondering why voting from the hat and taking requests is something that I enjoy doing and enjoy having, then, like I said, my #1 video is the ICP video. That came because I made a joke in a video that was a request, and then I put ICP in the hat to vote on. So, if there's anything that's going right in this channel, it's always because of everybody out on that side of the screen. I don't want to give just a voice to myself and my own ideas on what I think is inspiring or interesting out there. I also want to try to give voice to either the fans or the creators. And I hope that if there's any videos you haven't seen on this channel so far, you'll give them a chance, because it's not me you're giving the chance to, it's the guys and gals out there. I've said it once and I'll try to remember to say it multiple times. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers and any other subscribers I get in the future. Whatever positivity, growth, wherever we go in the future with this channel and my videos. But if you do subscribe to me, I would rather be the second subscription button you click, with the first one being the people I talk about. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you again soon.